This is kind of like an old movie, don't you think?
What is?
Us? Two people meeting in a snowstorm?
Liza was so different from anything I'd ever played before, and I think I was really attracted to playing someone a little bit more broken than anyone I had played. I had spent many years on House playing this very kind of tough woman. I had played tough women in movies, and I realized that that's something I was gravitating towards because it's probably something I aspire to. But I'm interested in exploring, people who really don't have their act together completely, and someone who's broken and kind of trying to come into her own, and someone who's kind of in the midst of that metamorphosis, and that's what Liza was.
Jay, what are you grateful for?
It's none of your business.
No, you're missing the point, Jay.
Specifically with Jay, what I thought was really interesting was that he had been a guy who had dedicated his entire life to a very specific dream, which was becoming like a world-class athlete. And obviously that required all of his time and energy, as anyone knows that, we all watch TV and see what these athletes go through to get to that point where they're at the top of their field. So he'd clearly been dedicating his entire life to it, and then that whole dream had been taken away from him. And now he was coming out of prison. He didn't know who he was or what his life was gonna be. And I thought that was just kind of an interesting kind of, psychological jump-off point for a character's story. I didn't really know Olivia and certainly Eric Bana's characters in the film, and have become very estranged from my parents. So I wanted to go and hang out with Chris and, have a beer and, kind of talk to him about all the great stories. I mean, that guy's just such a legend. But I felt very strongly that I needed to keep my distance and not get too familiar with them.
My little girl.
Eric and I wanted to kind of underplay this, ambiguously incestual relationship that our characters had. We wanted it to be hinted at, but never confirmed and never explained. It's kind of unnerving because you're not quite sure why, she's seducing this other character, if she's clearly in love with her brother. Is that something that she resents? Is she voluntarily doing that, or is he forcing her into it? So all of these questions kind of added intrigue, and Eric and I agreed that it was best if it was sort of subtle, but it's enough that, it's kind of creepy.